What is up, everybody? Listen, the sun is shining. COVID-19 restrictions are being lifted. People are coming out of their homes and apartments, squinting into the daylight, and they want to travel. They want to get out. They want to do a bunch of stuff, but they also want to stay protected. So what I'm here to talk to you about today is about not only just traveling when it comes to an RV or going across state lines. There's plenty of videos for that already, and they're all even through the USCCA, which I happen to be a certified instructor with. But if you really want to know what's going on bringing a firearm on a plane, there's a few things that you really need to do. Now, I know there have been a few videos out there that people have already shown about how they've even actually been getting on a plane, how to walk through the process, because we've all seen what's happened, right? A lot of folks that are taking weapons on as carry-ons, forgetting to get them out of holsters, forgetting to put them in certain baggage, going through TSA, and in many cases even getting prosecuted like a bunch of idiots. And every time on the news you see someone else that had their firearm that was on them, didn't need to have it on them, forgot to put it somewhere, and through an honest mistake. And of course they're being fully prosecuted because they just didn't take the time to look at something like what I'm about to show you. So you want to bring a firearm on a plane. If this sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. I'll show you more. Although TSA guidelines are to be utilized by all the airlines, what few airlines are left in the industry, the individual airlines themselves may have differing rules as to the criteria that they feel satisfy the transportation of firearms. For example, the carrying case that one is allowed to use to transport their firearm, and I'm talking about specifically handguns in this case, not rifles or magazine-forward pistols or anything like that. Or whether or not the guidelines state that you either must, should, or can use TSA-approved locks that they can open the handgun case that you utilize. These videos also don't look at the practicality of the actual process of being prepared so that you don't hold up the line at a particular airline service queue of both your departure and your destination locations. So for example, like many times you'll see the airline changes their policy on how to process your firearm based not only upon the TSA guidelines, but also they may change their policy so that they can follow any possible state or local guidelines too. So although it's best to read up on your travel, departure, and destination's legal laws for those states, it can be time consuming and you still may encounter some issues at the gate. The key here, guys, is not to panic and simply prepare for the worst and hope for the best. No, scratch that. I don't mean to say that. The key is to prepare for the worst by making sure you have the best equipment that you can use that follows all the guidelines regardless of what they think, and at the same time still be able to follow those rules so that you can pick up your firearm safely, consistently, and easily. All right? What happens is when you prepare for this, it creates the least amount of stress for both you and any airline staff or TSA agents that you may encounter. Even though the TSA believes that they are trained to smell stress and anxiety. I mean, I swear they really think they do. The truth is that they don't always really know, and neither do you. So the situation can become unpredictable. So we got to eliminate the unpredictable. But remember, that's going to be on you. So this video goes into the actual equipment that you should use for any situation, like how to properly prepare and organize and plan for the transport of your firearm, and how you should even keep your paperwork that you have that you'll need so that it's easily accessible in case you encounter any kind of TSA entanglements. Especially those TSA agents that just don't know what they're doing, even when they're citing improper law regarding the procedure. Now, there are going to be a lot of people who are wondering what were the methods that I used to come up with the conclusions and methodology that I have. Okay, well, part of my research of creating this particular video is that not only comes from my own experience with traveling with a firearm, but from those experiences of others, either by articles written by authors of firearm publications, similar blog posts, and personal interviews that I had with people within the airline industry, TSA, and members of Department of Homeland Security. I then looked at some of the changes in several state statutes regarding the transport of handguns, airline companies' policy, and guideline changes over the last 5 years or so, and then mashed it all up in the information in one pot, add a little pepper, a little garlic, baked for about 45 minutes, tasted it, and then tried again. So I admit it. Some of these steps I took the risk of trying out, erring on the side of caution, of course, and I think I came up with a pretty good formula that seems to work in most travel situations. Now, I haven't gone to many different countries with my firearm except for Canada, I'm not going to go into that. The Dominican Republic and Guatemala City, which requires special permission from their consulate prior to travel. Not going to lie, that was kind of a pain. And I have not yet traveled to Hawaii or the state of New York. Okay, other than Comic-Con, who wants to go to New York anyway? But that's something else. But they have some serious restrictions regardless. So if you have any other ideas to add to this video, or you live in a particular state in which you've experienced some things while traveling with your firearm, go ahead and write in the comments below. We could talk about it. Here's what you really need to do regardless of the video that you see. No matter what I say, anybody else says, here's what you really need to do. Storing your firearm in an approved case, remember, is not always in approved case. Yeah, I said it. Airlines are different when it comes to these firearms. What Southwest may allow may not work for Delta or United. Spirit, again, they don't have wings anyway because they can't afford them. And JetBlue, do they even exist anymore? I'm not even sure. Okay. On some airlines, though, even a standard sealed case with holes for locks are okay to use. But then there are some other airlines that have much more stringent rules, and you need something a bit more robust. So in these situations, you've heard your buddy say that he or she used like a $15 General Plastic pistol to check in their bag to take on her Delta flight. It doesn't mean that it's going to work if you fly Spirit, because the plane's not going to get off the ground and you're going to be held up for 3 hours while you try and get your money. Okay, I'm not going to get into it. Sorry. I really just don't like Spirit. No, don't like Spirit. Okay. So if it were me, I wouldn't use the cheap case, just to be sure. Use a proper crush-proof, waterproof case that is tough enough to survive the flight in case of a crash, and especially if you're on Spirit Airlines. Bad joke. Bad. Or severe tampering, and keep your content safe at all times. The price of these range from about $35 to $100 depending upon size and how many handguns that it can carry. Now, 4-magazine pistols need to be in a Pelican or Apache rifle case, so don't get into the whole, but it's still defined as a pistol kind of thing, okay? You really want to die on that hill for that? No, I don't think so. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at number of handguns and the ammo case limits. This is something that isn't talked about in a lot of the other videos. It's not. It's really not talked about in a lot of videos. They don't talk about how much ammo and how many weapons and firearms that you can carry in one single case. I've never seen one of it yet. If you have, let me know in the comments. For the number of handguns per case, I wouldn't put more than 2 in a case that was designed to have 2 in a case. Okay, it's gotta also be able to hold the ammunition that you want to be able to bring with you. Now, according to the guidelines, you can hold up to about 11 pounds. That's a lot of ammunition if you kind of think about it, but not that much. But if you're looking at the limits, it's 11 pounds of ammunition, and it needs to be encased in its own box with no magazines being preloaded. So you can bring the magazines that you want. You can have typically one magazine already empty and loaded into the magazine well, and then you can have, say, several spares or extras that are with you, and then have your 1 or 2 boxes of ammunition that are with you. Now, with all that said, you got to think about the type of ammunition that you have. The box that I would have with me, especially if I'm traveling for short distances like that, even on a plane, would basically just be my personal protection ammunition. I wouldn't carry too many ball rounds. If you can, see if you can pick up those range rounds that you need, those ball rounds, locally at your destination as opposed to trying to carry them with you. If, say, you're going to a training, such as a range or other facility, you might be able to ask that facility whether or not you can be able to purchase ammunition or have it shipped through a special, either through an FFL or through other special means, to be able to go there on your behalf, especially if you're going to be there for several days and going to go through like 1,000 or so rounds or so. One other thing you want to do. Next, keep your documents and keys to your firearm on your person, meaning on your body. I use a lanyard and a clear badge envelope attached not only my keys to the carrying case, but also my ID cards and boarding pass. You know, the same kind of lanyards that you find, you know, for VIP passes at concerts or anything like that. It's something that you use there. So these ones like here, I'll show my example like this. Notice how it has my ID card, my boarding pass. I'm just going to show, you know, just examples of this right now. I have this sitting in here. My keys are going to be attached to this portion, but I have my ID card, my boarding pass, and my baggage claim ticket. You're going to need all of those in order to be able to pick up your firearm after it's all over. So you want to stay organized and not having to search on your carry-on bag for these items. In addition, if you have law enforcement or you're the TSA agents trying to have issue with the fact that you're carrying a firearm, if you have the keys attached to that lanyard, you know exactly where they are, and you don't have to fish through a bag or any part of your carry-on to be able to access to them and then get to your firearm quickly. So they're really cheap. You can find them on Amazon. That way you don't have to reach into pockets or purses to find any of these items. 2 more things. Expect to either go to the baggage claim or special services at your arriving terminal. So bags that have DFA tags, declaration of firearm, are not put into the same pickup carousel as the other passengers. You're more than likely going to have to go to a special pickup services line or some other baggage claim name, location, and let them know that you have to pick up your luggage. Show them your baggage claim ticket, which should be in your lanyard pouch, right here. And don't be surprised if a law enforcement officer comes up and presents your bag to you. Like I said, general TSA agents don't really handle firearm logs or firearms themselves. That's law enforcement. So, here's one thing you might notice that's going to surprise you, or it may not. As of 2017, all major airlines now use industrial strength zip ties and tie the bag shut so that you don't have the ability to retrieve your firearm before you leave the terminal. And since you can't bring any knives on your carry-on luggage, I mean, really? And it also means that you're kind of stuck not being able to access your firearm until you actually leave the terminal. They do that on purpose. So make sure that you have a way to unsecure the zip tie at your destination when you unload. Ask for a pair of scissors, see if you can get a knife there, something like that once you get to your destination and be able to do so. So I'll show you an example of this here in a second, and let me know your thoughts on if you have any new ideas that also help be able to make traveling with a firearm easier. Okay, so let's look at an example of what we're talking about here. What I have here is my firearm. It's actually a concealed holster. This has been cleared already, but I'm sure people like me to check anyway. Just to make sure to show that it's cleared. Notice there's an empty magazine. Okay, right there. Okay. We're going to set this to the side for now. Now, the one thing you want to make sure, when it comes to the holster itself, you want to also be able to put this in your luggage. Do not put this on the carry-on itself. Put this in your actual checked baggage with the firearm case. Okay, that's going to be very important to do, so especially if you're concealed carry. It'll be right there. All right. So notice how I'm actually going to do one of 2 things. I can either put the other magazine inside and put it in the carrying case, or I could put it inside the actual firearm itself. So I also have my lanyard that has my 3 important documents, which are my baggage claim ticket, my boarding pass, and my government issued ID. Okay, you want to be able to make sure that these stay specifically inside the lanyard plastic case. Here's the lanyard itself. Then of course you have the locks. These locks are from Ace. These are about $15 a set. Okay. The keys are the same for both, so you want to be able to make sure that each key goes with the actual lanyard. Okay, so these keys right here are going to go on the lanyard itself. You want to put them on the metal part, and it's just simply unhooking it. Okay, and you still want to be able to detach them pretty quickly. So if you notice, I still have the little ring that it comes with on the key itself, and then I attach the lanyard back on here full. Keep this around your neck, except for the part when you go in through the actual security checkpoint. You can put them with your wallet, your phone, other items that you have to put into the tray. But as soon as you come through that, make sure you put this back on your neck. So we have both of our locks here. And we have a Pelican storm case. This is the IM 2050. I think they came up with a new version of this within the last year or so, but this is the one that I've always seen to use. Now, please excuse the complete mess of the foam that's inside here, but this is because I've used multiple firearms and the foam is not completely cut for each firearm. So what I do here in this case, I'm going to have my empty magazine, have it here. I would normally have a case of ammunition right here, or I would have that somewhere underneath in the second layer. That's where you can also put the ammo. In this case, I kind of put it here just for now. So I put the ammunition either in this sleeve here or underneath. I actually close the case. All right, and I put a lock on each side here. Now again, these are not the TSA approved locks. I recommend you do not get the TSA approved locks. You want to get some good old-fashioned sturdy standard locks to be able to use. Now once you take this particular case that you have your firearm in, you put your holster inside the actual luggage that you're going to check with too. Put this around your neck, and then what happens is you go up to the actual claim counter and you'll be able to ask for a DFA, Declaration of Firearm sheet. It's usually orange and white, some type of thing like that. You fill that out, and what they're going to do is they're going to actually put that inside the luggage next to this particular case. What then occurs is that that's going to be checked into the carousel that goes down to the plane. I hope this was informative, and if you have any questions, feel free to give us an email over at DetroitTacticalDefense@gmail.com or leave comments below and we'll be able to check them as soon as possible. Stay safe and take care. So, you want to bring a firearm on a plane.
Sorry.
Okay, stop. Firearm in case you need to encounter any blah 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 blah.
What? What?
Cut.
Oh.
Cut.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
Dude,
sorry.
are you alright?
I'm alright. I'm okay. You really want to see if you can get it locally. Cut.
Oh.
The price of these cases range from about $35 to $100 depending upon size and how many handguns that it can carry. Really? Hold still. Alright, hang on, we're going to try it again. First you want to be able to take the keys off. Sorry, it's taking forever. I didn't know they were going to be like that in the case. This is the first unboxing.